Good morning, y'all. It's Timothy. I just did my favorite thing of making a white boy suffer by hitting up their exes and telling them all their secrets and all the terrible updates on their life so that the ex feels better about moving on. One of my favorite habits to do, aside from hitting up members of a family and just being like, hey, did you know that your son is actually a terrible fucking person? Here's all his secrets. Enjoy. And I know that's a fucked up thing to do, but deep down it can't be that fucked up if men will still, even if they get a cup of water dropped on them in public months later, accidentally, will still smile as if I'm the sun and they are an ant seeing the world's most beautiful sun goddess for the first time. So it's like, I've done that to niggas and then they'll be like, hi, Timothy, it's been a year. Do you want me to get you a necklace, take you to the movies, take you out to a nice dinner, and then eat your pussy with no reciprocation? I'm just saying these niggas obviously aren't self-preserving in any slight way, so why should I feel bad about what I do? The only thing is, I really hate that it has to be this way. I wonder, is it just in my divine fate where I'm just supposed to be this type of person? Because I think it is. I've done it so many times, and I have never had any actual consequences befall me ever in my lifetime for doing it. One can make a joke about how I come from a long line of ancestry where everyone had restraining orders that they still consensually violated and still had kids regardless of them. We can make jokes about how it's like, hey, you come from a long line of abusers who were still never able to get arrested by CVS. Never able, like, my mom, she set a car on fire when she was 19 because some shitty light-skinned nigga cheated on her and made her feel like shit. So she torched his fucking car. You know what she got? 30 days community service. Why? Because she was so darn cute. Thank God she gave me the dimples. Where are the dimples on me? I don't fucking know. I don't know what dimples are. All I know is my older sister, half sibling, was jealous of me having dimples, and I always thought that was stupid. Why are you jealous of a mark in my, like an indent in my face? What's attractive about that? We were all adorable kids, so I thought that was stupid as fuck. But who else? Let's see. Oh, my grandfather on my dad's side. The way he met my grandmother, and this might explain some things about me, is that he was just like chilling on the bottom of some stairs smoking a cigarette, and then my grandmother, she came out onto her balcony while she was at her sister's place, and she was wearing a silk robe with nothing on it, just looking at the beautiful sky horizon, and she was just like, wow, what a beautiful day. And then she hears the voice of a man from down below saying, well, I'll be damned. And she looks down, and this old pervert is looking at her skirt. So she fucking hightails it back into her apartment. This nigga gonna stomp up the stairs, and with his creepy sex offender bangs on the door hella times, like, open it up, open it up, open it up. She cracks the door, and he's like, tell me what your name is. She's like, I ain't telling you shit. And she tries to close it. The nigga puts his foot in the door to stop it from closing. And then, like, she cracks it open again, and he said, I said, what's your name? Now you're gonna tell me what your name is. And she was like, and she gave her name, and then he was like, well, it sure is nice to meet you. I'll be seeing you around. And you know what happened? They became best friends, and then lovers, and very abusive lovers, more so him than her. And then for years, I don't know, I think sadly maybe some things do, interestingly, history likes to repeat itself. She became the woman where even after years gone by and he didn't really care about her and was exposed for cheating and all this terrible, awful stuff, like she had to escape from him, she still called him twice a week just to check in on him because she thought to himself, he's deserving of care and being checked in on. He's deserving of love. And I want to show that I am a dedicated lover who will never give up on him. And I thought that was both extremely fucking stupid but also extremely sweet. And unfortunately, I can be that type of person myself, which I, to an extent, also despise. I despise that a part of me was bird-brained enough as a teenager to be like, that is kind of wholesome. Oh, I wouldn't mind like a toxic divorce where we get to be friendly and check in on each other for years to come to show that I'm a good woman. But it's like, no, you might want to go to therapy to fix that little wound that makes you feel like you have to be chosen by an evil man. Oh, and the evil man, he passed away. There's not much to say about him. He was evil. He fucked up a lot of people. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, my biological father. So he is an interesting character because he was like, there's not much to say about him other than autism coded. He met my mom in high school. They got along great as best friends and then besties. And then next thing you know, they started dating. And, my mom was a very popular woman. And so she got a lot of attention. And after high school, she would still see people and be like, oh my god, it's you, DeAndre, and then DeAndre would come for a platonic hug, and then the nigga would like shove them both away and be like, the fuck are you doing with my girl, cuh? And then my mom had to be like, yo, calm your ass down, and he didn't, and he kept being nutty like that. But it made sense, because you know what, I understand why my dad had his mental issues, because my mom actually told me he had been cheated on so many times before eventually he started to lose it. Like several instances where it's like girls would have guys over and their cars would be parked in the driveway, and he'd have to just knock on the door, and then like a side dude would answer to a girl he loved. Or he could be going down on a woman. Ew, I don't want to know that about my father, mother, but it's okay. Mom, I don't know why you told me this, but she did, because she tells me every fucking thing. That's where I get it from. And it's like, and she would told me that my dad was going down on a woman, and then a used condom from another man slipped out. And in that moment, I'm gonna say it, kudos to my dad for not, like, people don't, if I say the words, I wouldn't blame him for whatever he would do in a fit of rage in that moment. People, like, even the worst men I've dated will be like, Timothy, you can't say that. You can't enable murder. What if he got AIDS from that? You could have, I wouldn't, I've done, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna say it. If he killed that bitch, I wouldn't have blamed him. I'm sorry, that's a very murderable offense. There's some shit that's just murderable offenses to do. That is so fucking evil. But I don't know what he did. All I know is he loved the situation. But it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Some of you don't need to live, because why are you out here that evil? And that's disgusting. But anyway, he had that sort of trauma. So I guess with my mom, who was extremely gorgeous and faithful and all that shit, he was scared as fuck. He was scared as fuck. And I know you're like, Tamia, did you just say that a woman should get murdered? I think I don't condone cheating. I don't condone people who put others at risk of STDs and betray their trust and give them lifelong trauma issues. I'm just saying, there's an alternate reality where that couldn't have happened, and she could have just broken up with my dad, and he probably would have been a well-adjusted individual, significantly more. I'm just saying, fuck these bitches. People need to actually crash out more often, so maybe I don't feel bad about being a crash out, because sometimes I do be putting shit in motion, and I'm going to touch on that in this video. But I'll put it this way. He was paranoid about my mom before she was ever my mom. And then he went crazy. And the next thing you know, it's like, you know, my mom would have a date trying to move on, and she'd warn people like, oh, my baby daddy kind of crazy. My ex-boyfriend's kind of crazy. And they'd be like, yeah, as if. And then you know what would happen? 6'2", dark-skinned man, muscular as fuck, hopping out the fucking bushes. Like, what the fuck you doing with my girl, car? Who the fuck is that nigga? And then, like, start trying to throw hands and shit. And then my mom, you know, she was a small, petite lady. All she could do is go, oh my god, stop! And, like, yeah, and then niggas would have to ghost her, because it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight that tall-ass evil nigga that you got on the back burner. No, I'm not doing that, thank you. But if you're wondering what happened next, restraining order. If you wonder what happened next, sometimes your mother is like, ooh, I come from a long lineage of bad people, and I want to get away from them and have a new life with my 2 kids that I already didn't really want that much. But you know what? I'm going to start a new life away from everyone I've ever fucking hated, away from my abusive family, all these toxic people. I'm going to cut clean and start fresh and move to a whole nother state. But before I do, I want to get closure with that one ex. That one ex who I really did love as a friend. And they met. And if you wonder what happened, the way she says it, she gets embarrassed, because she's just like, sometimes people have a very good talk and memories come up and things go well. And hey, he didn't look that bad. I'm sure you can guess what happened. A whole restraining order in place. You digging at me? I can't make that joke about my parents. I'm just kidding, I can't. I'm estranged from them both. But they fucked. And it's like, wow. But it's like, you know, I get it. I can't, you know, who amongst us hasn't had a toxic ex that we have also wanted to fuck one more time? And they did wear a condom. My mom told me they did wear a condom. So it's like, it's a miracle that like a few weeks later she gets settled down in Texas, and she's just like, ooh, okay, my whole life's sorted, I'm moving, everything should be good, my new life is starting to bleh. What did I just throw up? She takes a test. Shit. Fuck! And then she's like, okay, I gotta give him a chance to be a good dad. She moves back, and the nigga gonna have the nerve to be like, how do I know that's my kid? Why would she not stay in Texas? Away from the man she has a Actually, okay. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, it's so funny. I was gonna say, why would she go... Actually, no. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained. If she had another man's baby, she would probably stay in Texas with the baby. I don't think she would come back to California to hit up the ex who she has a restraining order against to baby trap you. Also, she said it herself. You have been scaring away all my niggas. I have no niggas except for you, and you knew that. How many niggas do you think I could pull if you were the one in my you were in my bushes every single night, punching out my windows and watching me? Clearly, you knew. You knew. You goddamn well knew what the fuck I was up to at all times. Traumatizing my kids and shit. Stupid. But anyway, court custody and all that bullshit. And let's just say it didn't end up going too well, because if you're wondering, yeah, there's a reason I call him biological father and not any other name aside from, yeah. Like, that's just the sperm donor. That's the idiot. That's his rightful place. He's an idiot. All of them are idiots. Everyone's stupid here. Oh, but hey, you can't say they aren't fine. Everyone is attractive. For years, I remember at some point when I was a teenager, I just kind of told my mom, I was like, can I ask why were you with him at some point? Because you're so pretty and he's so, and she didn't, and she just laughed her ass off, because then because, you know, as an adult, he's a little bit chopped. He didn't take too good care of himself. And she had to explain, it's like, your father was a very attractive man back in the day. And eventually, like a few years later, like in my 20s or so, like 19 or so, right before the pandemic happened. Like right before all that shit happened. My grandmother actually showed me a photo of him, and it's like, oh, I see. He didn't look bad. Like, there's a name for who he looked like when he was younger. Like young Bobby Brown? I don't think so. Jodeci? Hey, you know, not a bad face. Not a bad face. And he had the cool little tall hairstyle and the broad shoulders it's like, I ain't saying nothing appropriate. I'm just saying it's like, oh, okay, I understand. If you showed me this photo years ago, that would have made a lot more sense. I don't know. Also, this is your sign as a man. Take care of your looks, because your looks will fade, and then you're gonna have your own children asking what your mom ever saw in you. Like, even at my mom's worst, it's like, it's kind of still, you're still able to see a semblance of whatever she had back in the day to get away with what she did. And also, if you're wondering, yes, my mom was a vindictive bitch. What do you think I get so much of it from? You don't get beautiful dark circles like these unless you come from a long lineage of traumatized women. Let's see, where do I want to go next with this? Oh, we could start with my grandmother on my mom's side. Just a little bit, not too much to say other than sometimes you're young, sometimes, also because my grandmother is a pathological liar on that side. Let's just say sometimes you have your own toxic mother situationship, your own toxic mom situation. And then it's like, okay, she tried to cut off her own mother. She tried. She didn't succeed too well, but you know, she tried. She could never fully let go. She had a dad that cheated on her mom, a mom that was just overbearing and wanted to force her into a box, and she could never live up to her mom's standards, and the mom never tried to let her be her own person. And she just was kind of fed up by it all. It's like, you know, especially, this is what I'm not sure if it's true or not, but my grandmother said that she had a chance to travel to China to play basketball when she was younger, which was a big deal, especially because back then that was like, what? I forget which era that was, but my guess is it was like around the 70s or so. And my grandmother is super, super tall, especially for a woman, and was very good at basketball, and had a chance to travel to China to play basketball professionally and get a huge opportunity. And as a woman, that's a huge honor. But the mother wouldn't allow her. And allegedly that has stuck with my grandmother her whole life. Eventually she tried to cut ties, and eventually she was like, you know what, I'm gonna meet this little short, fat little nigga who comes from money, and I'm gonna marry him, and like I'm gonna have a life with him. And that didn't work out too hot, because I don't know, from what I could piece together from different sources, his family didn't want to give them money because they didn't like her. It's like, yeah, we don't approve of your marriage, we don't approve of this girl. And so there it's like, okay, now you're married to a dude, but now he's not giving you money. He's not balling on you. He's not spending enough. He wants you to work a job. You want it to be a kept housewife, but you're not exactly posh enough for that. And also, on top of that, repressed sexuality within her. She was definitely some sort of gay, so extra resentful of her life, I imagine. But, that didn't stop her from popping out multiple kids and also having a crack addiction. The way my mother said it, it's like my granny on that side, everyone else was doing coke just as a normal thing. Like, that was normal for the 70s or the 80s. Just like a little bit of a weekend thing. She wanted to do it all the time. She had something to escape from, as you can imagine. And all she did was torment my mother. And more. And steal cash from the family. And put herself in awful situations. My aunt, on my mom's side, has a traumatic memory that let's just say, sometimes you don't want to see your own mother sucking dick for crack to a strange man when you're that young, when you know you're supposed to be at home with your dad. A very sad situation. Ugh. Makes me want to throw up just to repeat it. Also, because even though I don't talk to that aunt, I still respect her and I don't want to talk about her life too much. God bless her. Oh, anyway. And then meanwhile, there's my mom. One of the worst. My mom has terrible stories. For example, once my grandmother, when she was strung out on drugs, pulled a pistol out on my mother. Or I forget, like a revolver? I don't remember. Just a gun. Fill the blanks in yourself, bitch. A gun on a 4-year-old child. And then looked her in the eyes and said, "You ain't shit. And you ain't ever gonna be shit. Just like I ain't shit." And then her finger was on the trigger too. And the only reason my mom didn't get her brains blown out at that age was because she was lucky enough that my grandmother eventually fainted and passed out from the drugs. And that is one of the most heart-wrenching things I ever heard. And it's like, oh, shit, no wonder. No wonder. I don't know, it's like, my mom was not a good parent by a long shot. She was for a while. You could always hear when the change happens in my life from how when she changed in my life from being a good parent with flaws to awful. That's not even the only story. My grandmother used to cheat on her husband with a random lesbian neighbor, and they just used to do all sorts of shit. Yeah, snort it up, shoot it up, light it up. Like, fuck it, get the light bulbs in the crack out. Let's go have a crack house. And they would scissor in the crack house, and that was so, and it's like, and I guess she kind of knew. It's like, my eldest daughter will snitch to her dad if I don't take a huge fucking Doberman dog and just loosely chain it to the window and keep the window open, so that if my daughter moves so much as a single inch, like for in the house, like my mom said that for hours she had bladder issues growing up. She had a lot of issues growing up, but she just would remember sitting at that window paralyzed in fear, out of control for hours. She couldn't move, she couldn't eat, she just was forced to sit as a kid on her bed. If she so much as thought to get a snack or pee, the dog would bark and snarl, and it was a feral dog that could have easily killed her and mauled her, especially at the size it was, and it would start snapping through the window hella loud, and even sometimes almost fully climb in, and the chain was always so loose so that even as it was chained outside, what's stopping it from breaking and finally getting in? Or even worse, sometimes it would bring the mother back home. And I think that's disturbing. A fun fact about me is that I've had to fight most of the maternal figures in my family. I have no regrets about either, because they both put me in that situation and it was always self-defense. But my mom had told me back then that she was admittedly a little bit way too fucking happy when I came to her bedroom door in the middle of the night and I said, "Granny tried to put her hands on me," And she left the room in a blind fury just to see Granny laid out on the floor. And she admitted that it's like, she had to tell me, it's like, I always wanted to do that to my mom my whole fucking life, but I couldn't. Thank you for being the one to do it. Her turn eventually came years later, and she deserved it too. It's so sad knowing how certain patterns can repeat. I'll share something a little sad. When I was a child, I used to get home from school. I mean, no, well, both when I got home from school, but also every day before school. I would spend an obscene amount of time crying in the bathroom. You know, I would just pretend to piss for a really long time or whatever, or brush my teeth for extra long, whatever, but I was just crying. Once my mom walked in on me crying, and then she didn't think, oh, is my daughter being bullied? Is it something going on at school? Maybe I should take her seriously when she says the teachers are also abusive and, like, terrible to her. Instead, she just asked if she was a bad mother. And despite how many times I told her that she wasn't, because back then I meant it, even though deep down I knew that she was the type of mother where she knew about the bullying at school and she dismissed it, and she even insulted me over it and joined in on the teacher. Like, I truly had nowhere to be safe as a child. I need to be careful, else I'm going to start losing it today. Oh god, don't worry, I'll get an energy drink after that. I guess I'm doing well compared to my ancestors, or at least my direct lineage, because it's like, okay, my addiction is just like, you know, ice cream on a sunny day after I'm sad, or a cute little candy bar, or an energy drink. I actually believe it's in alcohol. I don't want to be anything close to what my mother was. But it's sad how some cycles can repeat. As I was saying, what happened next? Sorry, when I get migraines, I've been having a lot of blackouts and stuff I don't remember recently, so bear with me. When my migraines kick in, I can start forgetting things. I've been in a lot of distress lately, as you can imagine. Probably from the last 17 million videos of me crying on here. What happened next? I don't want to relive that memory. Let's just say sometimes your mother lets you stay home from school as she cries and makes you pancakes and lets you stay in bed and watch whatever you want on TV. And she lets you stay in her bed because it's the extra big bed with the extra big luxury blankets. And she cries and she makes you like a huge feast of pancakes and bacon and eggs and all that. And you just think to yourself, I feel awful. You think to yourself, oh, I love my mom. Did I make her feel bad? She's not a bad mom. But she was. And she only got worse. She only got worse from that point on. And even then, I'm sure she could eventually connect the dots that the issue wasn't her. It was just intense mistreatment at school from everyone who was supposed to be in charge of me. And, what can I say? She chose the path she went down. I have no pity reserved for her. On the bright side, I did what my other family members couldn't. I hold them accountable and I left. For example, my grandmother always wanted to leave her mother. She didn't even get to fully succeed. It's like she moved out, but she couldn't fully cut ties even when it was bad for her. And she went down a mental spiral and had a very fucked up, uncontrollable life. She's still alive, but any potential went down the drain. What's interesting is that my grandmother actually looks a lot like me. About the same skin color. Similar eyes. Things like that. My mother, she left, but she couldn't leave for long, and it factored to the huge rift that happened from teenagehood into adulthood out of many, many awful things my stupid fucking whore of a mother did. Gross. I hate her. She deserves the worst, and I will always, always look forward to the worst happening to her, as she deserves. But she never was able to leave her own mom, and even it took the pandemic happening when I was like 19, for them to even get close to getting my grandmother out of the goddamn house after years of living with her, years of mistreatment and abuse and awful things my way. It was awful. And just, they had me trapped and miserable. But my mother chose that cage. She could have left my grandmother to live awfully and far away from us, but she chose to bring her in, and all that did was reopen her own wounds of trauma, and then she took it out on me. And then now I have a nice little scar above my eyebrow and under here from the actual physical scars my left on me. On the bright side, I've done pretty damn well. 5 years estranged. I'm doing really well for myself, all things considered. And even if I die young, I'll die happy. At my loneliness, I am with my favorite person. And I always stand up for myself when others couldn't. I'll say it. A lot of what I went through with young men when I was younger could have been prevented if I had a proper father. Some people pointed that out to me over the years, and I guess it's like, yeah, now that you think about it. Some people have the luxury where if they get raped or abused, or even the slightest bit of mistreatment, they have a father who's willing to whoop ass for them. But no, I had the type of father who would only call me to basically ask how my mom, like he wouldn't even call, he would text me. And he would text me only when my mother had to be like, stop texting me to see how your daughter's doing. You got her a phone. Text your daughter to Mia to see how she's doing, because you bought to Mia a phone. I still have a restraining order against you, and I'm married, and I don't want anything to do with you. So how about you leave me alone and hit up your daughter? And the ways and amounts of times he hit me up significantly had lessened. They were already damn near non-existent, but they got even more sparse after that. Like, oh, okay, you only love my mother. Interesting. On the bright side, I did good. I choose to date men that are absolutely nothing like my father. At least in some ways and not others. But I'm sure we can address that father wound some other day when I feel like it. But hey, lo and behold, I don't date black guys. Oh, yeah. I used to believe in being a good person, but there's not a lot of good people around. Not even good family. And when you grow up with not good family, not good relationships, not good friendships, only yourself, you're gonna do whatever makes yourself feel good, even if it's crazy. So sometimes it means doing the uncouth shit. Sometimes it means you're the one where you're alone on Christmas after you almost got raped by your ex-boyfriend who you thought you would marry. And you have to go to his house and punch out his windows to fuck up his day. And even though your wrists are bleeding, it's like, fuck it. You can't be the only one in pain. It means sometimes you hit up a man's ex just to be like, hey, Ma-Ching, just so you know, Nick has a weird obsession with you. He stalks you online and only keeps tabs on you because he genuinely has told me that he's waiting for your downfall. And he talks about times you were abused by men in your life smugly. And I always found that sick, and I thought he would grow out of it and get over it, but he never did, and I'm concerned for your safety, so this is what you should know. And I did. And I did that because I wanted to feel good. And also because it's like, why not? Is this my divine fate? Am I just fated to be that for other people? Do I need to just be chaotic? Like back in the Qing dynasty, it was actually a thing where, you know, you had executioners who came from a long line of executioners, like a caste system. It's like, if you're a slave, you're born a slave. If you're an executioner, you're born to be an executioner. Your fate is to just kill more people. And I like to think that you can be very different from your parents, and at some point I was, but then in some points I wasn't. Just like my mother and my dad's mom. Sometimes you keep giving chances to the wrong people. Sometimes, just like your father or your older grandfather, you don't know when to stop, when someone else wants to stop. And you want to keep going just to see if you can force a wonderful outcome for yourself, but god damn it if you aren't pretty enough to pull it off. Sometimes, like your mother, you're pretty enough to get out of crimes. You know, you'll get forgiven for whatever you do. It doesn't matter if you hurt kids and you beat them in the shower for 8 fucking hours over small fucking little, very easy to resolve issues. There will still be a shitty person like my biological father that will hold your hand and ask for a future with you and cuddle you in your bed with all those nice, beautiful, fucking thick bed sheets as I was a child laying naked on that fucking cold bathroom floor because my mother, after hours of beating me, wanted to force me to sleep on the floor. But I guess I'm like my mother. People don't know when to stay away from me. And even no matter how bad I get, they always come back. And just like my grandmother, what am I escaping from? Do I have an aim? Do I trust myself to achieve my goals even after I leave whoever was holding me back? Just like my mother, am I able to leave and stay gone? I know I'm able to stay gone from my family, but do I think I'm able to stay away from people, places, and things that hurt me? Just like my grandmother, will I ever stop loving those who never deserved it in the first place? And just like my father, deep down, will I ever care about any damage I've done to others as long as I get what I want? Oh boy. On the bright side, unlike all these bitch ass niggas, I'm at least willing to open the door for that conversation and see what I can do next to stop certain habits. I could be like my mother. I can go get alcohol to try to forget about my issues, even though it won't really solve any long-term mental states. I refuse to ever do drugs because why would I ever want to be like someone like my grandmother? And deep down, I haven't met someone that drinks or do drugs that are ever in positions of life that I want to be in. I'm proud of myself. I have a job throwing community events where people don't need to drink or do substances solely to have safe spaces to exist, where people can thrive and have love and exist without having to rely on family or romance inherently for that, because those can often be the things that hurt you most. I want people in places to thrive and connect. I want people to be better. And I want the best for my life. And I know what the type of lady I want to be. And I've persevered and I've came this far, and we'll see what I do next. But all I know is I want a really nice life for myself. I will take all of the gifts that they have wasted and I'll use them for better. I got my dad's cheekbones, or the cheek meat and my mom's cheekbones, I got the best parts of my mom's eyes, but also cool little colors added in from the other side. I got nice full lips, very beautiful nose, awesome jawline, awesome intellect, a whole lot of things. I came this far. I think I'll do pretty well. And as lovely as it sounds, I would like to be the type of ancestor someone is proud to have. And I'm proud of the ancestors who still persevered and got through hard times and made beautiful lives of themselves, and I hope I can set the finest example of a beautiful life one can achieve for themselves. Amen. Now, I'm going to be a little emotional today, but it's okay, because deep down I think an energy drink and a mango sorbet sound really goddamn nice. And I'm happy that that is my vice. Amen.